Bonjour and welcome viewers and students to Let's Speak French, Parlons Français. These lessons on basic French are short and easy, and if you follow the program regularly, I can guarantee you that very soon you will be able to speak and understand French quite easily. In the previous class, we learned the definite and indefinite articles of the French language. In today's class, we are going to learn all about qualifying adjectives. More specifically, we are going to learn about the various endings and how to make short sentences to describe someone or something. The lesson has been divided into 3 sections. In the first section, I will explain what a qualifying adjective is and what its various forms are. In the second section, I'll show you the most common types of qualifying adjectives that exist in French. And in the third section, I'll provide an exercise to revise what we learned today. In this lesson, I will introduce you to words related to the family. Let me begin the lesson by first explaining what a qualifying adjective is. A qualifying adjective is a word that describes or modifies a noun. Let me give you an example to illustrate what this kind of adjective is. J'ai un frère. We have already learnt in the first lesson of this chapter that the phrase j'ai means I have. We also learned that the article un is an indefinite article that precedes a masculine singular noun. The word frère means brother. Hence, j'ai un frère means I have a brother. Now let's insert a qualifying adjective in this sentence. J'ai un grand frère. The word grand means big, or in this context, elder. The whole sentence would thus mean I have an elder brother. So what is the function of the qualifying adjective in the sentence? Grammatically, the sentence j'ai un frère is correct. But when we add the adjective, we describe the noun, which in this case is frère. And by describing the noun, we are simply adding more precision to the sentence. J'ai un frère and j'ai un grand frère are both grammatically correct. But the second sentence is better because it makes the sentence more interesting by telling us something about the brother. We can therefore say that qualifying adjectives are words that describe a noun and thereby enhance and liven up an otherwise plain and dull sentence. Now that you know what a qualifying adjective is and what its function is, let me explain to you the peculiarity of this kind of adjectives in the French language. Since adjectives describe a noun, they are said to be linked to this noun. What I mean by this linkage is that the adjective must always match in gender and number with the noun it describes. If you remember, in our previous class, when learning about definite and indefinite articles, I told you that in French, every noun has a gender. Similarly, every noun is either singular or plural. These two factors, that is the gender and the number of the noun, play an important part in the formation of qualifying adjectives. So for instance, if the noun is masculine singular, the qualifying adjective also needs to be masculine singular. Likewise, if the noun is feminine plural, the qualifying adjective must be feminine plural. French adjectives change to agree in gender and number with the noun that they modify, which means there can be up to 4 forms of each qualifying adjective: masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, and feminine plural. Let me illustrate this concept with the adjective grand. Let's examine the following sentences. I have an elder brother and I have an elder sister. We note that in English, the adjective elder remains unchanged in both sentences. Now let me show you their French equivalences. The translation of the first sentence is J'ai un grand frère, and the second sentence translates as J'ai une grande sœur. As you can see, in the second sentence, an E is added at the end of the adjective. In French, an adjective that is linked to a feminine noun must be feminine as well. So in most cases, to create the feminine form of a qualifying adjective, one simply adds an E to its masculine singular form. Let me recapitulate. G-R-A-N-D is the masculine singular form of the qualifying adjective, while G-R-A-N-D-E is the feminine singular form of the adjective. Pronunciation wise, one hears the sound only in the feminine form. The letter D is not pronounced in the masculine form. Now let me show you how this same adjective is used in plural. I have 2 elder brothers and I have 2 elder sisters. The translation of the first sentence is J'ai 2 grands frères, and the second sentence translates as J'ai 2 grandes sœurs. As you see, in both sentences, one simply adds an S to the respective singular forms. To summarize, G-R-A-N-D is the masculine singular form of the qualifying adjective, while G-R-A-N-D-S is the masculine plural form of this adjective. Similarly, G-R-A-N-D-E is the feminine singular form of the adjective, while G-R-A-N-D-E-S is the feminine plural form of the adjective. We can also explain this type of adjective formation from the following perspective. The various forms of adjectives can all be composed from the masculine singular form. Either one adds an E to create the feminine singular, or an ES to create the feminine plural, or one simply adds an S to create the masculine plural form. Let us examine another adjective. This time I am going to show you something slightly different. Let's consider the following sentence. C'est un chat noir. This sentence translates as it is a black cat. In this sentence, noir is the adjective that is linked to the noun, which is chat. If we go by the same rule as above, one simply has to add an E at the end of the qualifying adjective to compose the feminine singular form of noir. This would give us C'est un chat noir. Unfortunately, this sentence is wrong. In the beginning of this lesson, I had told you that the adjective has to agree with the number and gender of the noun. In this case, chat is singular, so number wise chat and noir agree. But gender wise, the qualifying adjective does not agree with the noun. Chat is a masculine noun, whereas noir is feminine. In order to rectify this mistake, one must convert the masculine form into feminine. In English, we add the words male or female before the word cat to distinguish between a male cat and a female cat. In French, there exists a separate word for a female cat. Chat is a male cat, while chat is a female cat. This word chat must replace chat so as to match the feminine singular form. Since chat is a feminine word, the indefinite article must also change from un to une. Therefore, the correct feminine form would be c'est une chatte noire. Before we proceed to the next section, let me remind you again that the adjective has to always agree in number and gender with the noun it is linked to. French is a language of exceptions. What I mean by this is that there are different rules that apply for a same thing. In the context of adjective formation, there are many types of adjective endings. For instance, in both the examples seen above, we simply add the letter E to the masculine form to create the feminine singular form. Similarly, we add an S and an ES to the masculine singular form to create the plural form. But this isn't the pattern that is followed for all adjectives in French. So in this section, I'm going to show you the 4 most common categories of adjective endings. A. The general rule. Let's begin with the most common type of qualifying adjective endings. This pattern of adjective formation is what we discussed in the previous section. The table displays 4 qualifying adjectives. I will first read out the adjectives to demonstrate their pronunciation. Then I will make a few sentences to illustrate the agreement between noun and adjective. Intelligent, intelligente, intelligent, intelligente. Jolie, 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 jolie. Fatigué, 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 fatigué. Lourd, lourde, lourd, lourde. Please note that while adjectives may have up to 4 distinct forms, they either possess 1 or 2 different pronunciations. As you may have noticed, all 4 forms of jolie and fatigué have identical pronunciation. But intelligent and lourd have 2 distinct pronunciations. The final consonant is pronounced only if it is followed by the letter E or ES, as in the 2 feminine forms. In both the masculine forms, this consonant is not pronounced. Now let's look at a few sentences. Mon père est intelligent. My father is intelligent. Ma mère est une jolie femme. My mother is a pretty woman. Les enfants sont fatigués. The children are tired. Ma tante voyage avec des valises lourdes. My aunt travels with heavy suitcases. B. Adjectives ending with N or S, T or L. In the feminine forms, one has to double the last consonant and add an E or ES. Bon, bonne, bon, bonne. Gros, grosse, gros, grosse. Muet, muette, muet, muette. Gentil, 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 gentil. Now let's look at a few sentences. Ma grand-mère est gentille. Elle prépare de bons plats. My grandmother is kind. She prepares good dishes. Je souligne les lettres muettes avec un gros trait rouge. I underline the silent letters with a thick red line. Please refer to the notes to understand why it is de bon plat and not des bons plats. Some of the exceptions in this category are discret, concret, principal, grammatical, etc. These adjectives follow a separate pattern altogether as displayed in the table. Complet, complète, complet, complète. Secret, secrète, secret, secrète. Général, général, généraux, général. Idéal, idéal, idéaux, idéal. Now let's look at a few sentences. Mon neveu est parti en mission secrète. My nephew has gone on a secret mission. Mes petits-enfants ont réussi au concours général. My grandchildren have passed the open competition. C. Adjective endings with other consonants. Adjectives that end with either C, F, G, ER or EUX have different adjective formation pattern. Sec, sèche, sec, sèche. Long, longue, long, longue. Neuf, neuve, neuf, neuve. Cher, 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 cher. Joyeux, joyeuse, joyeux, joyeuse. Now let's look at a few sentences. J'écris une longue lettre à mes chers parents. I write a long letter to my dear parents. Des feuilles sèches couvrent le toit neuf. Dried leaves cover the new roof. D. Irregular qualifying adjectives. Adjectives belonging to this category are exceptions. Beau, belle, beau, belle. Nouveau, nouvelle, nouveau, nouvelle. Frais, fraîche, frais, fraîche. Doux, douce, doux, douce. Faux, fausse, faux, fausse. Vieux, vieille, vieux, vieille. Orange, 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 orange. Please refer to the notes for a detailed list of adjectives pertaining to colors. Now let's look at a few sentences. Mes vieux grands-parents ont une nouvelle maison dans un beau quartier. My grandparents have a new house in a beautiful neighborhood. Ma fille cueille des fleurs oranges toutes fraîches. My daughter plucks fresh orange flowers. Before we end today's lesson, let us revise what we learnt. Here's a short text describing people. I'm going to slowly read out and comment on the text so that you can understand how qualifying adjectives are used to describe an animate object or even an inanimate object. Voici ma mère. Elle s'appelle Rosalie Laporte. Elle est petite et mince. Elle a de longs cheveux blonds. Elle a des yeux bleus et elle est une belle femme. In this text, there are 6 qualifying adjectives. These adjectives are highlighted in bold letters. The nouns they modify are underlined. In the first sentence, petite and mince modify a pronoun elle. Elle replaces mère, so technically speaking, these 2 qualifying adjectives modify the noun mère. These adjectives are connected by a, which means and. The next two qualifying adjectives, long and blond, modify cheveux, which is a masculine plural noun. Here the noun is placed between the two adjectives. In the last sentence, there are two qualifying adjectives. The first one, bleu, is placed after the noun, while the last adjective, belle, is placed before the noun. This text shows us the various positions of qualifying adjectives. Irrespective of its placement, a qualifying adjective always agrees in gender and number with the noun it modifies. With this, we come to the end of our third lesson. Before we end, let me summarize in a few words what we learned today. This lesson was divided into three parts. In the first part, we learned about adjectives, their definition and their function in a sentence. We found out that in French, a qualifying adjective always has to agree in number and gender with the noun it is linked to. In the second part, we learnt a few different categories of adjective endings that exist in French. The majority of adjectives belong to one of these four categories, which have their own formation pattern. And finally, in the third part, we revised today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed today's session. In the next class, we will learn the demonstrative and interrogative adjectives. I hope to see you in the next class. Thank you and à bientôt. See you soon.